like the 2024 election will be Modi versus Modi.
One advice you'd give the Prime Minister, you have 10 minutes with him in a room alone. If you have to pick one in India, edtech, fintech or biotech, what would you pick?
Fintech.
One advice you'd give the Prime Minister, you have 10 minutes with him in a room alone.
I don't want that because I've learned the hard way. Giving advice doesn't work. Nobody wants to listen to you. So
With this Prime Minister or any Prime Minister?
any Prime Minister. I've had experiences that I've also documented in the past, starting with Putin and stuff, where I've never gone back to Russia after that. So I'm not advice, but my sort of only observation is the fact that I hope that today when I see what's happening in the ecosystem in India, that he's getting frank, objective advice. Because there's a tendency sometimes when I notice for everyone to go and just be a sycophant, suck up, say all these things, that everything is good. Every line that you have to say is that about how things are good, how things are great. So I just hope there's always some objectivity on the ground also, which he's getting from an ecosystem. And then
there will always be some data point to show that it is going.
No, there are enough. I think we had like a long discussion today. There are enough fault lines, in terms of that. Okay, fine. You want to use the investigative agencies to go after the political, fine. But how are they misusing their power then to, basically run rampant with lots of people and undermining business confidence? Who's saying that in terms of that? Is somebody giving the feedback? That's my big concern today.
Is sectarian tensions considered by global investors for India?
When we travel across India, I do. I think the further you go from Delhi, the more optimistic you feel. I've always felt it.
Fantastic.
So that's the issue.
Tata, Birla, Adani, Ambani. Who's the next in this list?
The big boom, if India is to make it to the next level in the next 5 years, is on the investment side. Because consumption is doing fine. It's really investment which needs to pick up. So I would be backing people who are playing the investment story in India.
Of all the emerging markets you've tracked, which will be the first breakout nation?
I made a forecast that the next country to join the developed market thing, that's another way of putting a question, would be from Eastern Europe. So like a Poland or something like that. So I think that the most overlooked region in the world with the best talent pool, among the best talent pools and great strength of entrepreneurship and other things is Eastern Europe. So that's, and Poland is the largest economy there.
I don't even answer this, but how many years before the US dollar loses its position as a global trade currency?
It'll take forever because it's very hard to do that. But I think that, as we discussed, that the seeds of that it's peaked, that the seeds have been sown and we are probably, last year was probably peak dollar.
If you were the author of a book on the future of the Indian economy, what would you title the book?
My favorite line, which I've always said, that this is the country that always disappoints the optimists and pessimists, right?
If you were to author a book on the future of Indian society, what would the title of the book be?
We are truly like a United States of Europe, which is that this is not, that the amount of, that the subnationalism, the federalism, that is what I find remarkable about India. So, the United States of Europe is how I look at India from all the travels.
If you were the author of a book on the American economy, what would its title be?
Okay, that's the title of my next book. I can give it away. What went wrong with capitalism?
Wonderful. That's so great. We got a Bharat Jodo Yatra, hit, miss, or makes no difference?
Again, the objective fact shows that his popularity ratings have improved after. But I fundamentally believe that the next election, if I can say so, will be like the 2024 election will be Modi versus Modi. Because there is no one who's going to be able to stand up against him. And the best hope the opposition has is that by not putting anyone up.
What's better for India, a strong majority Modi third term or a Modi-led coalition?
I'd say that in India's case, given the fact that, in terms of that, between these two, I would say that a Modi-led coalition is, something, everyone privately will say that to you. No one will publicly say that to you.
And what's better for India, a Modi-led coalition or an opposition-led coalition?
Again, it depends who's going to be on the other side. I don't know that. I'd say that what we all want in terms of that here, I mean, in terms of in this room, it's very different from the others. As I said, is a like system where there are sufficient checks and balances in place. I think secretly that is the desire of at least a lot of the staff. But having said that, I think that we keep overrating national elections because in India, the state elections are so important as well. The fact is that India is also very, just like in the United States, we are all obsessed with Trump, Biden. And the market doesn't seem to care even in America what the hell's going on clearly. Similarly, I think that the state governments in India and the counterbalance that they provide is something which I think is truly underappreciated.
If your opposition comes to power, which is the one opposition leader you think will make good for Indian economy?
Like in terms of, I don't know if there's one leader in terms of the fact, because they're also aging and, that's the whole point. I mean, I think a lot of people in this room I've spoken to, again, I don't know enough. Like, for example, they all tell me that the best prime minister, the question I've asked people, who's the best prime minister India never had? A lot of people do answer, and I don't know him at all, but although we have met him on our political trips, is someone like a Sharad Pawar. But he's too old now, it seems, to be able to run a coalition government effectively.
Biden second term or Trump another term? What's better for India?
I think it doesn't matter. You know why? Because I think that India is now, in terms of, as far as the US is concerned, they're obsessed with China. They really want India on their side.
Makes no difference.
So it makes no difference.
Okay, so we're going to play a small game now. What's better for India? Good, so in terms of what's better for India, good, makes no difference, or bad? So Fitch's downgrade for America.
It's made no difference to America. So why should it make a difference to India?
Ramaswamy's rise in America. Good for India, bad for India, makes no difference.
Makes no difference again because, it's too early, it's too fringe, it's too early.
Xi Jinping's waning popularity in China. I'm saying it's waning, you're not sure, but Xi Jinping's dynamic popularity in China.
You see, again, in terms of, I don't know what to do with that number because does he ramp up nationalism? What does he do? Like in these countries, and this is my feeling, even with Putin in Russia, we put too much emphasis on the leader, not enough on the society.
Right.
Like in Russia, for example, the war, like everyone tells me, has been pretty popular on the ground. And we keep thinking it's only Putin.
Okay. The advent of artificial intelligence.
Generally, it's good, but I do feel the hype has gotten a bit carried away. I think,
for India, it's good for India?
Yeah, I think it's generally like it's a productivity enhancing thing in the long term. But I think the hype currently is a bit overdone.
Okay. An unsolvable Russia-American relationship. Is that good for India or bad for India?
I think as long as in the world these big powers are fighting amongst each other, it's good for India.
Okay. Political instability in Pakistan.
I think that's not good, but you know what? It's become irrelevant in terms of it. Pakistan, I mean, like in terms of, it's like uninvestable, irrelevant.
So makes no difference to India.
Makes no difference anymore to India.
Okay, Modi in the center and the states being controlled by opposition, more and more by opposition. Is that good for India? Bad?
Generally, I'd say that balance has worked out okay for India because of the fact that, because in India's case, you need, I think, checks and balances.
Super.